the crate off. Mitch is here helping me. He's my cameraman. So the unveiling of the new mill. So far, it looks unscathed. Oh, baby. Today is January 10th, 2023. It's the day after I took delivery of my new mill. This is a South Bend 9x42 variable speed head purchased through Grizzly. They now own South Bend and all the rights to that company. Obviously this is an import mill, supposedly made in Taiwan, and from what I understand the Taiwanese machines are the next step above the Chinese machines. But I'm gonna do just a walk around, and maybe if I feel ambitious in a few months I'll do a review on this machine. But I'll give you some of my first impressions after uncrating it yesterday. 90% of them are good impressions. One thing I noticed, this has got a 3-axis DRO, Fagor DRO. I never used that brand, don't know anything about it, but we'll learn. But one thing I noticed is these scale covers are galvanized sheet metal. Which I wasn't real impressed with. The DRO I had on my other mill was an Accurite. It had extruded aluminum here, which I think is a little better. Well, that's something I could change down the road. Overall though, it's a pretty impressive machine. One little detail I noticed is this scale here is not really put on very nicely. There's about a 1/4 inch overhang here and nothing up here, which is indicative of the import machines. But very heavy duty. I believe it operates just like a Bridgeport. It's been many years since I've operated a Bridgeport. I bought this table cover. It's 1/8 inch rubber. I'm going to cut it up to fit my vise in the middle. The challenge today will be getting it off this pallet, and it's going to go right there where my other mill was. But overall, I think this is going to work out good for me. One thing I'm going to do is install on the electrical panel here a disconnect switch, because when it's powered up, I believe there's power to the DRO and the power feed and to this switch panel right here. So I'd like to just disconnect it from all power when it's not in use. But very nice machine. Here's the table. One thing I was really impressed with was the downfeed handle. Now this thing is really quality. It's got South Bend right there on the handle, and it's very well made, looks like. So it's going to be fun to get this thing powered up. Doubt if I'll get it powered up today, but my goal today is to get it off this big massive pallet. And it was interesting getting it in here yesterday. The truck driver was great. The shipping company was not. They didn't deliver it last Friday because the way the pallet's configured, he couldn't get his pallet jack underneath it. So I could have got it out of the trailer though. We could have slid it out with the forklift. And anyways, it's here. It's in my garage, and we're gonna putz around with it today and hopefully get it off this. All right, for now I'll sign off. We'll call that good. Okay, I got the mill moved over here, as you saw in the previous snapshots I took. It was a little bit of a chore, but it actually went pretty smooth. This thing weighs, I think, 2,000 pounds without the crate that it came in. So, it went very smooth. I did hook it up to power. It's not leveled out yet. I did the break-in, spindle break-in, and I'm just kind of getting to know the features. Tomorrow I'll start in on the leveling pads I'm going to make. But so far I'm pretty impressed with it. A couple things I don't like. One thing is this quill handle. If you go to move it a notch, it basically comes off in your hand. Pretty poor design, unlike anyone I've seen before. My old mill, you could pop it out and it would stop, and then you could rotate it around to where you wanted it. Now, I have ordered a quick handle for that. We'll see if that works okay. I'll have to learn this Vagor 3-axis DRO. Works definitely different than my old Accurite, which I really miss because it had an electronic edge finder. But it runs fine. Seems very smooth. The speeds work great. Slow down. There's full speed, 4,200 RPM. I think my other mill was 1,800 RPM max. It only had 5 speeds, so I'm really liking this. Anyways, it's just like any other Bridgeport clone. But for me, it's going to be big improvement. And all these mills drip oil, so I put some pig mat down there to soak it up. And this works out pretty good in this space. I got plenty of room to get to my shelving here. I got plenty of room to get to my little rack of stuff. I'll be able to get all this stuff out easily. I just need to roll this out of the way. I can open the back door. I can run the table all the way that way and still walk around. So I think I'm going to like this spot right here. Anyways, so far, glad I bought it. So we'll see how it works out. Well, I thought I would talk about this machine now that I've had it for, let's see, a little over a month, about 5 weeks. As you've already seen the delivery pictures and uncrating it and sliding it into where it's at now. I got it all leveled out. I'm going to give you my opinion of the machine, my kind of review. I'm not going to do any machining videos. There's plenty of that stuff online. But my very first machining project was these the feet, adjustable feet I put in here. This is 3/4 by 2 inch or 1.5 inches, I don't remember. Solid bar stock that runs side to side. Then it's bolted, the machine's bolted to that, and then I've got an adjustable leg on each corner. I got it dialed in with my Starrett precision level, so everything's good. It should be nice and square. I've trammed the head in both directions. I'm going to go through and show you what I don't like first, and then give you my impressions of what I do like. So first off was the quill handle. This is not the one that came with it. The one that came with it, when you pulled it out to the next notch to rotate it around, there's nothing that would hold it in place, and it would typically come right off in your hand. And I've already dropped it a couple times just doing that, because my other mill, I would pull it out and it would catch, and then you could rotate it around and push it back in to latch. Anyways, I bought a quick handle for this, and I had to do a little bit of machining on this part right here that the quill handle slides over. I had to take a few thousandths off it, and other than that, it worked perfect. This is the South Bend that's offered by Grizzly. It's their company now, and this is a Taiwanese built machine, supposedly 100%. I know it's got Japanese bearings, at least the top bearing there, because when I installed the Curt power drawbar, I could see the top bearing, and definitely a Japanese bearing. This is a model SB1024F. The F is for Fagor, the DRO that came with it, 3 axes. This is a variable speed head. One of the other things I didn't like was the scale protectors. It's galvanized sheet metal. Now it's pretty heavy metal. I think it's 16 gauge. So they're pretty sturdy, but the Accurite that I installed on my other mill had aluminum, extruded aluminum there that were all capped off, so the scale couldn't get that dirty. Now they'll always get dirty, but so I'm not sure if I'm going to cap off these ends or what. For sure I'm going to take it off and seal in behind this. So if I'm running coolant or anything, or even my mist coolant, it doesn't dribble down and get all over the scale. Speaking of mist coolant, I've got the Noga mini mist with the magnetic base. So it sits here on the magnet when I'm not using it, which is one good thing about having the galvanized scale protectors. And then when I do use it, I'll have to set the camera down here for a second. I bring it up here. I mounted this bracket on here, and that will reach the working area, no problem. And I can put it back down there when it's to get it out of my way. I did add the Curt drawbar system. This is the air supply for the mist, and then the coolant tank. This is a pretty cool little deal. I found it on Amazon. It's a radiator overflow, and I just did a couple of modifications. I had to plug all the holes on the side, and I just leave the lid loose so it's able to suck the liquid out when you're using it. And of course it's got a little sight gauge. but it's aluminum, and I just mounted it right there on the side of the mill. It works great. To mount the Curt regulator and lubrication system, I just added this little bracket here, plus it's mounted to the headstock right here with these two top screws. And then the latest thing I put on here was Mitutoyo Quill DRO. I used this the other day and I really like it. It mounted up just fine. I had to do a couple little modifications, and then the next day when I went to put my handle on, as I turned it, it was hitting right here. So today I machined this spacer to bring it out just 3/8 of an inch, and now it clears. I put a pin in the original hole in this piece. I don't know what it's called. Drilled a new hole that the quill handle catches, and works very smooth. Of course, if you're going to use it, works very smooth. One other thing I did is I reshaped this little handle here, because as you can see, when it clicks off, it smacks into the casting. It still hits the stud here, but I don't care. There's nothing to chip there. Never understood that. Even on the Bridgeports, I think they do that. One thing I did add was a machine disconnect switch, so I can shut everything off, so I don't have to go to the breaker to shut it off. Other than that, I don't think I've done any improvements on it. It trammed up very nice. It runs very smooth. Oops, I'm in low range here. There it goes. So we're at about 940 RPM right here. Very smooth machine. And as you can see, the down feed works just fine, very smooth. This is something I did not have on my last mill, so I'm really enjoying this. So far, it's been just a fabulous machine. I've done a couple little projects. Like I said, I did the feet. I did a little job for my brother, some aluminum brackets for speakers, and then last couple days I've been tinkering around with these little valves. I'll show you here in a second. So this is what I worked on last couple days. These are check valves for a locomotive check valve assembly. These are the little shuttles that are inside the check valve. I made a holding fixture that'll hold two of these. I just clamp this up in the vise, and there's enough of a slot there that it'll clamp tight on them. And then I come down with a 1/4 inch end mill to cut those slots in it. The rest of it is lathe work. Fun little parts to make. They're just brass. I got a lot of projects lined up to do though. So this is my new mill. I have a Precision Matthews lathe on order that should be here this summer to replace my Logan lathe. This is a model 1922, built in 1956, the same year I was born. It's been a great lathe. I bought this about 20 years ago, completely restored it. As you can see, it's had plenty of use. It's just been a fantastic little machine. It's just lacking a few features that I would like to have. And it's not as accurate. It's got some wear to it, but if you know where that is, you can get around it usually. I bought a Bison 3-jaw chuck when I first bought this lathe to replace the original one that was with it. One thing I don't like about this lathe and the Atlas lathe that I had, they've got a threaded spindle, so you can't do any work in reverse. But again, you get around that. I made this rack to hold the tools. And I just cleaned it up. It's normally not this clean. But it's been a good lathe. A friend of mine's gonna buy this, and hopefully I'll get it to him by July or so. So that's about it. Mainly I just wanted to talk about the mill. It's been a great machine. It was simple to wire up. I had an outlet up there for my last mill, and I just put an extension box with that 30 amp 220 plug on it, and then I've got my air up there. So, oh, the other thing I made for this mill was these rubber weight covers. I love this rubber. I get it at McMaster Car, and it keeps the, I said weight cover, I meant table cover, but it keeps the table nice and clean, stays in place. Nice place to put your tools. You don't have to worry about dropping anything on it, hurting anything. I had it on my other one. Well, I had plywood on my other mill, which worked fine, but this really works nice. The DRO on this machine is not quite as user-friendly as my Accurite was. Just a couple little things, you know, like when you're in absolute, it shows, there's a light that shows absolute, but when you go to incremental, there's nothing that says incremental. And you go through a menu to get to your bolt hole patterns rather than a button that says bolt holes, that kind of stuff. But I'll get used to it. It does go down to 2/10, clicks off 2 at a time, which is plenty good for me. My other DRO did 5/10, half thousandths resolution, and it was fine for everything I did. What I normally do, for anybody that doesn't know, is I built the live steam locomotive. Hold on just a second and I'll uncover it. So this is my 1.5" scale live steam locomotive. I started building this in September of 2000. This would represent a passenger locomotive from the early 1900s, typically around the 1920s. This is referred to as a Pacific passenger locomotive. It'd be a speedy locomotive rather than a freight puller because it's got tall drive wheels. The full-size version of this would have 80-inch drivers. Anyways, I built this entire thing with mostly that lathe and my Sears Atlas lathe and my old Grizzly mill. But I just wanted to upgrade my mill and stuff. But this has been a fun project. It's not finished by any means. There's lots of work I want to do. I ran it a week ago today, and that's why everything's opened up. I try to open up the boiler, let it dry out thoroughly. And you can view this running on my YouTube page, which is Fire and Steam, or my website, which is fireandsteam.net. This is the tender for it. This tender I originally borrowed from a good friend. I'm not going to uncover it. You can see it on the videos. But I ended up buying this tender, but I am building another one, and that's under construction over here. I haven't worked on it for several years. Life got in the way, but this will be my final tender for that locomotive. It'll hold more water and more fuel. My loco is a oil burner, which I burned diesel fuel. Great running engine. This started off as a Little Engines Pacific. Little Engines is a company that came about in the 1940s, I believe, here in Southern California, and the company's been sold numerous times. And it's basically a Little Engines chassis with that I freelanced the boiler and everything, and the cab and everything. From the chassis up is kind of my own doings. Great running engine though. The engine number, as it says on my webpage, 824, is in reference to my dad's birthday. He passed away in 2009 in a traffic accident and never got to see the engine run. So if you watch the video, the first video of us running this on its maiden voyage, you'll see me putting a small brass urn right here in the cab, and I took Dad along with me on that first run of this engine. Made me feel good, and I'm sure it made him feel good. I was originally going to number the engine 343 in reference to the 343 firemen that perished on 9/11 in New York. So, to still pay homage to them, the serial number of my engine is 343. I'm a retired LA County firefighter, so I wanted to pay some sort of tribute to those guys. They sacrificed quite a bit. Anyways, so that's my projects. The whole purpose of this video, though, was just to kind of give an update on this mill, and maybe in about a year, after I've used it a bunch, we'll do some more updates. As you can see, I just cleaned it up again, and it's, you know, pretty spotless. Of course, it's brand new. It should be. But anyways, I will conclude this video, and until the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.